So once you vacuumed out the beans, you know, this lid comes off obviously, but then this whole tray will lift up, and just note where you've got your setting, and you want to keep that setting in the same way next time you get it. So you lift at the back end, and then you'll see some clips, and you pull forward, and there's a sensor wire attached that tells when something's dropped into that manual feed. You'll want to remove that. So with the bin flipped upside down, you'll see that there's two clips here, and there's two clips on this side that you want to just loosen, and this whole plastic piece will lift up, and then you'll have access to the sensor. Once you've released the clips, you can just lift this whole plastic piece off, and then you'll notice that there is the sensor, and that's actually held in by two prongs, and so if you push one out, then you should be able to get the whole thing out, just like that. And you can just leave that up here, and then this whole bin you can take and move over to the side. So now you'll see that we have access to the two screws for the instant water heater. There's one here and there's one down below. We'll just need to take off this little scoop from the grinder so that we can access that other screw. So once you've undone this one screw here, then this feeder will lift up, and you'll see that this is where the coffee's coming out from the grinder, and you can put that on the side. So the top screw is located up here, and you can see these three plastic retainer rings, and then here's the bottom screw, and that's so you will loosen these two screws, and then we'll fiddle with the little clips to make it go to the other side. Okay, once you've got it loosened, then you can see that those three clips, once you press them, then you can wiggle the instant hot water over to the right. Next thing to do is we'll move this clip. This is a retaining clip for the clamp that's holding the hose onto the instant hot water heat. Okay, once we've loosened the clip, we just slide it back and took the retainer off, and then we just pull it off of the pump of the hot water heater, and there we have access. And now we can come over to the side and we can bring this down out of the way. And then we lift it out, and that's why we undid that green cord, so that we can just slide this down. And then you'll notice there's a blue and a brown wire that are being held there. We'll loosen those two just so that we can put this down below. Okay, so we just remove those two wires from here from the clips so that we can then lay the instant water heater down below. And now we have access to the drive unit. So like I said, there are some screws from the other side that we'll remove, and then we'll have access to that. So these are the screws. You've got one back here. There's an access hole right here in the plastic to get to it. And then you've got one here, one here, one here, and one here. So I'll remove those screws. And before I remove this last screw, I've loosened it. But there's a little overflow container down below right here that I'm just going to pull off of the hose, and that just pulls right down so you can be able to get the unit out on the other side. Now I'll finish taking out that last screw, and then we'll go to the other side. And once you've loosened that final screw, you can come to the other side, and you'll see that you can pull it directly out to the right, and then pull it back so that you can have access to the inside. So this is the unit, or I'll show you a moment. Get this set. So this is the unit that's been causing the trouble. There's a plunger in here, and I've cleaned it as much as I could, but I've ordered a new drive, and that should resolve the problem, because it's been getting stuck up in this valve there's a little ball valve in here, and that's what supplies the coffee from the brewing unit to the nozzles. So I'll detach this. You'll notice that there are two wires here. The one with the black tape on it is on the bottom, and then the yellow one is connected to the middle prong of this switch. So I'll remove those, and then I'll be able to show you the other side. Okay, so once we've detached the two yellow wires, then you'll notice that the box, there are 4 clips, 2 on each side, to undo, and then we can take off the cover to the drive unit. Once you've taken that off, you can see the wiring inside. So we'll just undo the wires here and reattach them the same way they're attached to the new unit. Okay, and there's also a little clip right here that's attaching this water hose that you'll want to remove, and then that way you'll be able to get everything else done. So there's the clip. And then this water hose just pulls right out. There's a washer in there as well, and you'll notice that there's a connector on it. So we'll make a note of each of the connections. I've marked them, and then we'll transfer them to the new piece. So attached to the unit is also these green and red wires. You'll have to trace them through a couple restrainers, just holding them in, and they come up and they plug in to the top of the electrical panel. So you have to unplug those to plug in the new one. Okay, so once you've done the wires, so this connector, and we basically rerouted the wires through the wire clips so that they're out of the way, and we'll tuck them in as we put everything back together. And then we attached our other yellow wires that were there from the beginning, as well as the water tube. We put the water tube back in. Make sure that that washer's still in there before you attach it and put that clip back in. And then you screw it back in with the 5 screws that it started. And then next up, we'll put the instant hot water or instant water heater back in through the clips, and then screw it in with those 2 screws. Then we'll need to reattach this hose. Don't forget the clamp, that's very important. And then don't forget also to reconnect your little green wire that you disconnected from the hot water unit. Okay, so once you've got the clamp back on, then you also want to remember reconnect the green connector, and then you can tighten down the electrical box with that T9 screws. There's one at the top and then one at the bottom, and then make sure that the wires are all routed correctly. We'll hook these back into these holders, and then we'll work on the rest of it. Okay, next step, don't forget, you're going to put your funnel back in and screw it down. This slides in from the top down, and there's a little clip securing it, and then you screw it down. Then we'll put in the coffee bean holder, and don't forget you need to reconnect this switch or sensor, and remember that the writing is on the top, so it's against the plastic. So remember, we're just going to slide it back in. Remember, the key is towards the front, and we'll come up and line it up on the ends, and then it slides forward and then down. And then to install the water side, again it's the same thing. Bring it forward, you'll slide on the hooks, and then go down, and that will secure it in place. And then to install the top, remember we want to lift the portal lid so that we can slide this past of that. And then we're just going to line it up with the front and slide it forward. And you'll see that there are some tabs that we need to get into to just slide it forward. And then redo this one screw, put your water back in and the top. And then for the back cover, remember you had the B for the bottom, and then you had the T for the top. And then that, once you secure them, you'll be all set to close up the back. And once you've installed the back, then you're ready to reconnect your water. And then we'll put in the brewing unit and we'll be all set to go.